Okay, so hello. So this is Ed, and today I'm going to tell you about a Python script I'm working in, and this is actually work in progress, to facilitate the creation of GPX files. So if you're not familiar with this terminology, let me try to explain you. I organize hikes most weekends, sometimes even two hikes every weekend. So I guide people to the forest, to the hills, to the mountains. Initially, we were following signposted trails, but after a while, as we live in Luxembourg, which is a very small country, um, we started to improvise. So I started to create the trails in a map. And at the beginning, I will check the trails prior to inviting anybody. But right now, it's just pure adventure. I draw the trails in a map, and then we go and we see if we can do it or not. We have to. Very often, we need to improvise. But in principle, in a country such as Luxembourg, that's not a huge risk. So obviously creating a hiking path, which on average we are doing 20 kilometers per day, it might take a little while because you have to drop a large number of points, maybe hundreds. Typically, I take easily 20 minutes to do it. So I have created this script, which in a minute I will explain you how it works, uh, to to automate the task as much as possible. And the reason I am creating this video is in case somebody is interested in collaborating, maybe creating a graphical user interface. This, as you can see, is a very simple Python script. So what I will normally do is I will open this Java application, which is called GPS Prune, and I will more or less randomly select an area in which I think we may find interesting places. So this is OpenStreetMap of Luxembourg, and so imagine that, I don't know, I'm going to start. Let's start here in Ensemborn, and we're going to walk a few kilometers around the lake. Okay, so this application, uh, which is called GPS Prune, as I said, it has a function which is called create series of points. So let's say we want to start from this parking lot here, and we will do is we will choose create series of points, and we will drop a number of points along this path. And as you can see, this can be very tedious and time consuming. So now imagine we want to do this over 20 kilometers. The alternative, which will be a lot more fun, will be to just go there and record your trail with your favorite applications. In my case, I use Roots, which is an application for Android, develop it in German, which I always recommend. Maybe later I will show you the website for this application. And so this is how it goes. So right now maybe we have done 500 meters, 1 kilometer. But imagine if you have to do that for over 20 kilometers, well, it can take quite a while. We'll keep going for a few more meters. Okay, let's go to this sightseeing spot in there. We keep going, we are fast, but we try to at the same time be a little bit precise. Geschlied, and we are about to reach our destination. Which is the Belvedere of Borgfeld, very beautiful place. I'm going to stop here. So this is a micro hike, only a few kilometers long, maybe 2. And this is how I will do it. So typically I will multiply this for 10 times, and we will get our 20 or whatever kilometers hike. So typically then I will save this. Sport as GPX. I will give you a name, a description, a title, a description. In this case there is no timestamps, and I will save it somewhere, like for instance here in the video I'm creating. I'm going to call this test1.gpx. I save it. Then at this point I can close this application, and if we go here, our file is here. We can open it with the same application or with a different one, and as you can see, here is our track. Now I'm going to close this, and I'm going to do something different. I'm going to open GPS Prune again, and I'm going to do more or less the same, all right, but with less points, in a much more sketchy way. So first I will select the starting point. So I create series and point. I start here. But now, instead of doing what I did before, I will go directly here. All right. And then I will go here. And then let's see if we don't get lost already. I will go here, for instance. And where is our sightseeing spot? Is there. So I will create another point here. And I don't remember which route did we take. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to take this narrow path. And here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And so as you can see, this is not a real trail. It's extremely sketchy, but it took us just a few seconds to do it. Okay. Now I'm going to run my script on this. I'm going to save it. I'm going to call it test2, and now I save it, and I call it test2.gpx, and I'm going to try to run my script on that file and see what happens. I'll close this, and as you can see, the folder contains only this video that I'm recording, a previous test video that I recorded, the 2 GPX files, the one that contains a dense series of points, which will be the real trail we will like to use, and the second attempt, which is very sketchy and contains only a handful of points. And then we have the script we're going to run. So we are already, no, we're not in the right directory. We see D in video, and we invoke the Python interpreter along with the name of our magical script. There are a number of C errors which we don't care about. We will take the sketchy file as our input file. So it says input GPX file with full path. We don't need the full path because we are already in the right directory. So test2 will do. Now the output file I'm going to call test2 output, and this is I've never tried this, so this is for this path, this is complete improvisation. And so this script will produce a new file, call it test2 output GPX, and we will see how it looks. We will compare the three files, test1, test2, and the test2 that we are going to produce automatically from this sketchy script. So we enter, and now it asks you, do we like to invert the direction around the loop? No, on this occasion. We're not going to do that. We like to change the starting point? No, we could have done it, but we won't. And we like to interpolate points along the paths? Yes, that's what we are trying to do. We run it, and as you can see, magically, it has produced an interactive HTML file, which is an elevation profile, in which it has automatically identified a valley and a peak, and it has drawn this, you see that this triangle with some information. The elevation gain is 120 meters, the distance is 2.2 kilometers, and the slope is 5% of 3 degrees. And as you can see, our path is barely longer than 3 kilometers. And this is one of the outputs of the script. Now, the other output is a new GPX file, which is called test2 output. So let's go into, we're going to open this, and I'm going to use GPS Lab because it allows to append files. So this is the file that has been automatically generated by the script, and this is how it looks. And as you can see, it actually contains a large number of data points going along the right path with, and so for comparison, I'm going to open the sketchy file from which we created this one. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. So this is the sketchy file. What I need to do is to append the file. So I will append the output on top of it. And as you can see, the sketchy file is the blue line that we created manually, and the red path is the path that has been created automatically with the script. So you see that this script saves you a lot of time, because a 20 kilometers path in this way shouldn't take us more than 10 minutes to create. And for comparison, I will append the file that we created manually, test1, and wait a second, it's also blue. And as you can see, the file that has been created automatically with the Pathfinder is a lot more precise, a little bit more precise. I didn't say a lot, but a little bit more precise. So you see, this is a very simple script. Right now it's optimized for walking, but you could also optimize it, tune it for cycling, mountain bike cycling, or you could even make it more sophisticated to ask you what you want to do. If you want to walk, if you want to hike, if you want to cycle, or if you want cycle paths for a road bike, or if you want rougher paths for a mountain bike, which could be this one, for instance. I'm not entirely sure it's feasible to do it with a mountain bike, but most likely it is. So this is the first draft of this script that I have created. I will explain you a little bit how it goes. It has a number of dependencies, a GPX converter to convert back and forth between pandas data frames and GPX files. The Pathfinder algorithm is PyRoute-lib3, which is a very well-known OpenStreetMap algorithm. In order to import the elevation data, it uses elevation. This requires an internet connection. Elevation in terms depends on GDAL. GDAL we are using the Python bindings, but one of the things I don't like about this script is that for GDAL to function, you need to install the C libraries in Linux as well. And obviously, I would prefer a 100% Pythonic solution. So if you have any ideas, let me know. Now we import a GeoPy function to compute distances. We obtain this library from SciPy in order to smooth the curve, to make it easier for the algorithm to detect the peaks and the valleys. We import PickUtils to find peaks and valleys, and finally Plotly for plotting the elevation profile. And essentially, as you can see and as you saw already, the script will ask you for the input, the name of the input file, the name of the output file, whether or not you want to change the direction. It says the loop. I will change that. It doesn't need to be a loop. If you want to change the starting point, obviously if it is a loop, it will remain a loop. If it is not a loop, you will be actually cropping your file if you do this. And if you want to change the starting point, it will ask you the coordinates of the new point that you can check on your GPX visualizer. You can check the coordinates here and use this information to feed our Python script. And then obviously, if you want to change the direction, it changes the direction. If you want to change the starting point, it changes the starting point. And then it asks you if you want to interpolate. In some cases, you may want to do it. In other cases, you won't. In this case, we wanted to do it, so we interpolated. And as you can see, it works wonderfully, the interpolation along paths. And then finally, if the altitude data, the elevation data is not present, it will be mapped. For this, it will download it will use the elevation library to download the GeoT file, and then it will map the coordinates, the altitude in these GeoT files to the coordinates on your EPX file, and so far so on. And finally, it will save the file. It will compute the distances using the Kearney algorithm with an Euclidean correction that I implemented myself. It's very rough, very approximate, but that's not really matter. And finally, it plots the elevation. It finds the peaks and valleys by using. First, it smoothes the curve with using the polynomial approximation, Savitzky-Golay, and then it will use PickUtils to compute peaks and valleys and perform some filtering of the peaks and the valleys, and finally it plots the elevation profile with Plotly, and then it produces an interactive HTML file, as we have seen. But so this is it in a nutshell. As you can see, it's extremely simple, extremely easy. It's the very first draft. To me, I made it for myself just to save time, because like this, I don't need to spend 20 minutes creating the paths dot by dot. I just, in a couple of minutes, I create my loop or my trail of 20 kilometers, and then in a fraction of a second, by running this script, I can produce the actual trail, which, as you have seen, is very precise. You can see here. Anyway, if you are interested in teaming up, if you want to incorporate this functionality in your application, if you're interested in helping me making this 100% Pythonic, or implement other functionalities, making it more robust, as I say, this is a very first draft, well, just drop me a line. You have my email address here, and we can talk. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you found this useful and interesting. and I may actually discuss other scripts that I have in the future. So if you organize hikes, this can be extremely useful to you. It can save you a lot of time. And if you don't, but you're interested, well, drop me a line, and we will see what we can do. Okay. Okay. Have a nice day, and see you around. Bye.